Hey guys, welcome to JayWalk Media. This is Matt Miller, and watch what happens when this weaselly CNN reporter tries to use J.D. Vance's own biracial children against him and tries to stump him with this question. But watch how J.D. Vance responds to this. He is an absolute savage. But before we jump into the video, I want to ask you guys to please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Ring the notification bell so you get notified when we post new content. All right, let's jump into the video.
I want to ask you about the former president's comments yesterday to the National Association of Black Journalists, where he said that Vice President Harris is, quote, all of a sudden black. As a father of 3 biracial children, did those comments give you pause at all?
They don't give me pause at all. Look, all he said is that Kamala Harris is a chameleon. She goes to Georgia 2 days ago. She was raised in Canada. She puts on a fake Southern accent. She is everything to everybody, and she pretends to be somebody different depending on which audience she's in front of. I think it's totally reasonable for the president to call that out, and that's all he did. I mean, look, she's running as a tough-on-crime prosecutor, even though she implemented open border policies. She's saying that she wants to support the police, yet she wanted to defund the police just 3 years ago. It's totally reasonable to call out the fact that she pretends to be somebody different depending on the audience she's talking to.
You used that word chameleon yesterday as well. You're someone who was an unabashed critic of the former president previously. Now you're his running mate. You're someone who has text messages out there now that say, I hate the police. Now yesterday you said, I back the blue. By your own standard, are you a chameleon?
Look, I criticized Donald Trump 10 years ago, and we've talked about it, and I've made a good argument to the American people about why I think he was a great president and why I think he deserves re-election. That's different than going to Georgia 2 days ago and putting on a fake Southern accent when you were raised in Canada. So I think it's totally reasonable to change your mind. Has Kamala Harris stood for a tough debate with you and explained why she wanted to ban fracking and now she doesn't, or why she wanted to defund the police and now she doesn't, or why she wanted to open the border but now she doesn't? It's reasonable to change your mind. It's not reasonable to run and hide from the media and not answer the American people's questions.
He was also asked yesterday if you were ready to be president on day one. He kind of dodged the question. What do you still have to do as his running mate to prove to him that you are ready to step into that role?
Well, I think Donald Trump was answering a political question, and he was answering it correctly. He said for years that who the vice president is doesn't really matter politically. Most Americans are voting either for Kamala Harris or for Donald Trump. They're not voting for the vice presidential nominee of either party. Look, I'm absolutely ready to be president on day one. I've been a businessman. I've been a United States Marine. I've been a senator. I can do the job, but politically, he's just right. People are voting for Donald Trump, primarily.
So why are you out here today, then, if you aren't necessary to this process?
Well, I didn't say I wasn't necessary to the process. I can certainly make an argument that borders are Kamala Harris has failed the American people, but I think ultimately they're going to be voting either for Kamala Harris or for Donald Trump.
So that was not a good faith journalist at all. That was gotcha journalism at its finest for sure. But J.D. Vance was prepared for it and didn't give this guy an inch. So the claims that he's making about Kamala Harris being a chameleon, that should be plain to see for everybody. I hope it is, at least. The Democrats, they have this habit of gaslighting themselves into oblivion, into total ignorance. And they're all just going to pretend that Kamala Harris wasn't an absentee vice president that didn't accomplish anything, that had a very spotty career before being vice president, and served under Joe Biden, one of the most impotent presidents that we've ever had since Jimmy Carter. And now they're pretending, they have to pretend that they love her so much. It's really just disgusting to me how they flip-flop. And they just go, okay, this is our alternative to Trump, so we're going to go all in, even though she's terrible. But J.D. Vance is right here. She is a phony baloney politician, if I've ever seen one. And we see her pandering in the South at her rally, pandering to the black vote, and all of it. The Democrats are so good at gaslighting people and pandering to their base, and that's why they're so strong. Honestly, that's what makes them dangerous in the election, is because they know how to say what you want to hear, whether it's true or not. Now, this journalist tried to fire back at J.D. Vance and say, well, you're a chameleon because you've changed your mind on Trump, which that doesn't hold up at all. And I think J.D. Vance's response here was perfect. This was years ago. This was almost a decade ago that he said these things against Trump, and he's allowed to change his mind. And he's given explanation for that. But what he doesn't do is he doesn't use fake accents. He doesn't go dressed up a certain way to certain areas. And, he's just himself, just like Trump is just himself. He'll go to the rural sticks. He'll go to the Bronx in New York. And he's dressed the same. He talks the same. He's just Trump. So we know what we're getting with Trump, I would say. He's more unfiltered. He's not scripted. He's just honestly him, for better or for worse, whether you like him or not. Whereas people like Hillary Clinton and Obama, we saw it with them, and now we're seeing it with Kamala Harris. They put on an act, and they are selling the American people what they think they want to hear. And that is really, in my opinion, that is not only cringy and disgusting, but also dangerous. Now, the fact that he would use and actually bring up J.D. Vance's children against him in this way really shows the low character of this journalist, I think, because J.D. Vance is married to an Indian woman, and he has half white, half Indian kids. And that's pretty widely known, but regardless of that, he still gets called a white supremacist. He still gets called a perpetuator of the Great Replacement theory. And now people like this journalist are trying to use it to pin him against Trump. All Trump was saying is that Kamala Harris seems to switch between her two identities whenever it conveniences her. She's Indian when it conveniences her. She's black when it conveniences her. And she needs to make up her mind, I guess, because she's clearly doing this to win political points and not because it's genuinely what her identity is. And it sucks that identity is so important in politics. It shouldn't really matter what you are. It should matter what your ideas are, what your track record is, and who you are as a person, not what you are and your skin color or your ethnic background. That is so silly that is such a major thing that people care about in politics, and especially the left. I mean, I think the left's the most guilty of that, awarding points for just being a minority without even really listening to what this person has to say. And I really do think that Kamala is benefiting from that blind spot. And I think that that's really the spirit of what Trump was saying. Of course, he could always say things more delicately. But J.D. Vance stuck behind him here, explained what he actually meant, and didn't let this CNN reporter do what they do best, which was take him out of context and try to paint him as a villain or demonize him. Anyway, let me know what you guys thought of this video in the comments. If you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Ring the notification bell so you get notified when we post new videos. Thank you for your support. I'll see you in the next video.